Hello everyone, my name is Amanda Ralph. I'm a nurse practitioner and the owner and founder of White Coat Aesthetics here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Today we are doing a Botox treatment. I am here with Bronte. She's going to be my model. We are doing 100 units of Botox. I am splitting that 100 units across the upper forehead, in between the eyebrows, across the eyes, and we are also going to be doing Botox to the masseter muscles. To start, I'm going to go through every single area. I want to talk to you about the considerations that I'm making when I'm determining what I'm doing with my Botox, and I can even go through my dosaging as well. I always start with the middle of the eyebrows. This is called the glabella. This is what's going to cause those 11s or like the one line right in between the eyebrows. So I always have my clients make a frown for me. Will you frown in between your eyebrows? Perfect. Bronte's actually perfect. I don't know how close we are to see her muscles, but they are like textbook. She has a procerus right through the middle that just runs right here top to bottom. And then she has a beautiful corrugator on each side. So that's what I'm doing. I tend to do the same 5 injection pattern, somewhat of a V, but I am looking at the actual corrugator tail every single time. So go ahead and frown for me again. Yep. And for her, she actually does come out a little bit more lateral on this side than on this side. So I will just adjust for that when I go to make my injection points. Now I look at her frontalis. Raise your eyebrows all the way up for me. Great. In general with frontalis, I aim to stay pretty high on the forehead to avoid messing up the eyebrows or making them feel too heavy. But with Bronte, you actually can see lines that go all the way down to her eyebrow, which means I will have to come down a little further in order to relax those. Sometimes I will have my clients, I will start with just a row close to the hairline and I'll have them come back into me in 2 weeks just to make sure they don't feel too heavy or I didn't do enough. But with Bronte, I've been treating her a long time. I am pretty comfortable. I'm going to just do smaller amounts lower, and that follow-up is always available to her as well. Now I want to talk about the crow's feet and around the eye, which is this here. Typically, we are aiming to hit the orbicularis oculi muscle, which is that almost circular ovally muscle that goes around the eye. Typically, I do come a little bit further up to try and give a little bit of a brow lift, open the eye area. We do know that this is minimal and it's going to give about a millimeter of change here, but I'll do a little at the top of the eyebrow and then come further down. Will you smile for me here? She really doesn't have a lot. We are preventing here more than we are actually completely treating. And she has asked that I come a little bit into this under eye area for those tiny fine lines. And this again is going to give a nice modest improvement. I don't overdose in this area. If you do too much or you hit too deep, then you are at risk of hitting the smile muscle, which is then going to knock out the smile. So that's obviously not the goal. I wanted to talk a little bit about masseters before I actually treat them. When I am treating the masseters, I always aim for at least 25 units per side. I think less than that, you're doing a disservice. It's a very large muscle. I also plan to use a 1/2 inch needle instead of the smaller needle that I use in the upper face. When I'm doing masseters, I start by assessing them by putting my hands on both sides of the patient's face. I will go like this and have them clench and relax. Clench again, relax. Hers are very strong. She definitely is a good candidate for masseters. Sometimes people come to me and it's actually not that strong, so it may be something else that's related. And it also tells me, are they equal? Sometimes people have one side that's way stronger than another. Bronte's are pretty equal, and I do this assessment every single time to make sure that if I need to add more to one side or the other, I have accounted for that. In general, when we're talking masseters, I'm going to have you go to the side here. I can draw the line, but I usually just now map it mentally. I have a line that I think of from the tragus all the way to the corner of the mouth, and I never go at that line. I tend to go much lower than that because I don't want to hit that risorius or modiolus muscle that's going to knock out the smile. And then I will usually have her clench. I put my fingers on the side of the muscle, and then what I do is I go in and I do, I usually envision a cross or an X, and I will inject at each point and then directly into the center with that 1/2 inch syringe, like I said. So I plan 5 units per site when I'm doing 25 units on each side. Okay, let's get to injecting. Okay, so of course, every time I go to do a Botox treatment, I am cleansing the skin. I am cleansing her forehead to start. I do a good cleansing. Luckily, she does not have makeup on. If someone has makeup on, you're going to want to do double, triple cleanse to make sure all of that makeup is cleared through the skin. I'm doing all of the areas and even beyond where I believe that I will be treating. And I'm constantly cleansing as I'm doing the treatment too. So this is kind of my first pass of the product. that I'm using to cleanse, which is puricin, hypochlorous acid. I will also be cleaning the whole time I'm injecting too. One rule of thumb for me is that the gauze that I'm using is always wet with the cleaner. I never touch the patient with a dry gauze because gauze is not sterile typically. I don't purchase sterile gauze. I don't think very many people do for this field. So for me, I always make sure that I have it covered with puricin. Okay, I'm going to start by injecting the glabella. Like I said, this is in between the eyebrows. The glabella is a series of muscles, and I'm going to be injecting each one of those. Right before I inject, I'll have her make the frown, and then I'll go ahead and do my injection points. And I typically plan around 20 units for this area. Will you frown for me in between your eyebrows? Perfect. Go ahead and relax. I'll pick up the Proceris here before I go in, and I do my little injection here. If there's any blood, you have that gauze in your hand, so you just stop it really quick. Here, okay. Will you frown for me again? Good. Go ahead and relax. Here we go. Frown again, please. Good. Relax. Thank you. Okay, now we're done with the glabella. I always kind of do one more quick pass of the cleaner just to make sure it's all clear. Okay, now I am moving on towards the frontalis muscle, which is the forehead muscle, and all of those horizontal lines. Will you raise your eyebrows all the way up for me? Good. Relax. Thank you. Raise again for me, please. Good. Relax. Thank you. Okay, now I'm going to be working on the crow's feet. I will just do a little bit around each eye in a few little spots. Will you smile for me really big and then raise your eyebrow all the way up? Good. Relax. Go ahead and go. I'm going to do that one little unit here too, okay? Okay. Sorry, these ones are a little... Great. Okay, it's as simple as that. If she really doesn't have that many, but if they tend to get like a bump or anything like that from where the saline is, I always just tell my clients it will go down within about an hour and a half. My teaching when it comes to Botox is just hands off, no makeup the rest of the day, and pretty much just lay low as much as you can. And then I say if they want to wash their face at night, they can. They just have to be gentle with it. My biggest concern when it comes to aftercare with Botox is I just do not want them in there massaging, touching the areas to prevent an infection and also to prevent them from spreading the product out. Okay, moving on to the Masseter Botox. Like I said, I'm using a 1/2-inch needle, just a little bit deeper so that I can make sure I hit the entire muscle, and I am constantly cleaning this area. What I will do is I will take my gloved hands, hold it like this. Will you clench for me? Good, and relax and clench again. I have her do it a few times, you can relax, just so that I can confirm my placement, and then I'm going to be injecting in this little square on the inside rather than anywhere at my fingers. And then I'm also staying very low to the jaw as much as I can. Okay, take a deep breath in for me. Here's a little poke. Another one here. One here. Last poke here. Okay, that was our full 100-unit treatment of Botox. Like I said, we covered in between the eyebrows, across the forehead, around the eyes, and the masseters. Today, she's going to go home. She might feel a little tender, but ultimately, she's not going to have any results from the Botox yet. I usually tell my clients might start to kick in anywhere from 4 to 7 days, and it will take the full 2 weeks to see the full results. Masseters, the slimming effect of the masseters, where the muscle atrophies and it slims the lower face, will be about a month to 2 months after, because it does take some time for the muscles to atrophy, but she will feel the relief of the clenching and the heaviness from that in about 2 to 3 weeks. Thanks for joining me on this Botox treatment. If you would like to watch any other treatments, let me know in the comments. We will see you next time.